The inaugural edition of the Energy Storage India ESI Conference and Exhibition 2013 attracted over 300 delegates from 12 countries. Held in Mumbai, Energy Storage India 2013 is the first energy storage conference and exhibition in India to focus exclusively on applications, customers and deal making.
Today, India is one of the fastest growing economies in the world with electricity generation capacity of 200 gigawatt to meet the needs of over 1.2 billion population. Energy Storage India provides a platform for new business opportunities for T&D, customer-sided microgrids, computers and electric mobility applications, giving a chance to showcase the latest products and technology and an opportunity to learn to educate about the new applications for storage of renewable energies.
Up to this point, the discussion has been around how do we build more generation in order to meet all the needs of India. And I think one of the things that's been missing is how do you get it to all people in India, and how do you get it when people need the energy? And that's where energy storage can play such a critical role.
Then India needs to add somewhere between 250 to 400 gigawatt of new generation. Now in last decade, India has tried everything with large hydro projects, with large ultra mega power projects, with coal, with nuclear projects, and again all these technologies are going to be essential part of the supply mix. But at the same time, given we are a democracy and given there are challenges in terms of the land acquisition, in terms of the fuel linkages, we are going to rely a lot on renewable energy.
The conference covered the complete range of opportunities for advanced storage technologies in India, including renewable integration, rural electrification, microgrids, smart cities, utility and industrial applications, as well as electric transportation. The event also saw key policymakers come together to share their inputs and views on the regulatory environment of the country and the need for energy storage in India.
One of the biggest challenge which the renewable industry is facing basically is not understanding the basic nature of renewable energy, particularly in the decentralized off-grid type of applications. The challenge is we are the consumer. Our mentality is that of a consumer, where somebody is generating, somebody is distributing, and we are simply consuming, and what we say, we pay the money, so we should get the facility. Here the thing, particularly in the off-grid mode, is that we are the producer, we are the distributor, and we are the consumer. So until and unless I know what is my capacity, generation capacity, what is my storage capacity, and what is my load profile in the 24 hours, or what is my use pattern, how it varies, I will not be able to provide the type of warranty, guarantee or anything or claims given by the manufacturer or the experts. Yes. So that is the challenge basically, which I was addressing basically. Sure. And that's why I did not go for what ministry has been doing and all that. Unless we understand this challenge and address this challenge, we will not be able to succeed. Okay. We have done lot many things in solar mission, we have done lot many things in wind, and the achievements itself, the number itself says within 20 years we have done really good. But the success will be just maybe after 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the line, when large number of systems are being deployed. What will be the service mechanism in that? Until unless we address this issue, perhaps, I do not know what will be the fate of, whether the momentum will continue or not. That's why I deliberately did not go to what are the numbers and all those. I tried to flag some issues basically for discussion here.
Both from the same manufacturer or same manufacturer? Okay. Same capacity and same generation.
Now I will clarify that point. See, the assumption actually when we had put those systems actually was that in one of the systems we would be using at daytime only. And that's why the configuration was different. In the other system, the configuration was different. Okay? But when it was practically used, the system which we were thinking to be used at daytime, and that's why the depth of discharge will be less, was not, it was not used in that way. The first reason is, it was put in a place where electric supply sometimes was not even available for 48 hours. I'm not talking of 6 hours a day, 48 hours, 2 days. It's just across Delhi border. Okay? In the other system, the thing, so that's why I'm telling, if your depth of discharge is 10%, 20%, you can get a better life. If your depth of discharge comes to 60%, 70%, 80%, then your cycle life will be very less. So we have to understand this. This is a chemistry. And the chemical reaction will take place. Okay? So that's the limitation. We have to understand this. That is the point I want.
This roadmap for smart grid talks about net metering, that by so and so time net metering will be done. So if he can elaborate in 1 or 2 minutes as to what is his plan for net metering in this country, it will be useful.
It talks about policies for net metering. So we said mandatory rooftop solar for public infrastructure or any infrastructure of a certain size. So maybe something which consumes with an electric load of 250 kilowatt or 1 megawatt or something. Each state it may be different when the state level policies comes. And or it could be 10,000 square meter and above building should have mandatory some X percentage of their consumption comes from solar. Those kind of policies, and that will come. The government can write policies, but you have to give something back to them. It has to be either feed-in tariff or net metering. Many of the states started with net metering policies. Andhra came out with the first regulation, which is absolutely useless. That nobody, it doesn't promote anything. He said that okay, whatever is except you can put a meter and give it to the grid. We don't give you anything.
He's the man who created Twitter. His latest creation is a company called Square. To take a payment, you swipe a customer's credit card through a white square that plugs into the earphone jack.
Do I appreciate it as much as face-to-face communication? No. Would rather be walking in Land's End and thinking about things.
The Costa Concordia is a rusting carcass sitting precariously on 2 underwater mountain peaks. The swimming pools and jacuzzis where passengers sunbathed and sipped cocktails now empty and askew. And below, ghostly vestiges of the ship's contents litter the ocean floor in what the Italian authorities have designated an official crime scene. 30 people died, 2 are still missing. So how are they going to raise it? How much is this operation costing?
It's going to be around about 400 million plus minus.
आज हमारा देश इतना आगे बढ़ गया है कि बाकी दुनिया की नजरों में हम एक महान देश के रूप में उभर रहे हैं, लेकिन उनका एक और नजरिया भी है हमारी तरफ। आइए उसे देखें।
What are you doing out there?
जाने अनजाने कहीं आप भी दुनिया के सामने अपने देश की ऐसी तस्वीर तो नहीं रख रहे? अपनी इज्जत अपने हाथ। जय हिंद।
As we leave behind a gloomy economy and a subdued real estate sector, we tell you if the new year will bring back cheer and confidence into the property sector. Looking to make a quick buck on your property investment, we give you a lowdown of top 5 destinations across the country where you could invest in. Are you looking to invest overseas? We take you house hunting to the 5 most sought after cities in the world.
We bring you interesting ways of adding a piece of heritage and royalty to your home.
We are telling you about all the buzz in the world of technology and also talking about the technology that you can wear, starting with your wrist.
And it's a peek into the beautiful palaces housed within the majestic Mehrangarh Fort in Jodhpur.
Energy Storage India ESI Conference and Exhibition 2013 was a platform for stakeholders of India's energy sector as well as regulators to discuss and deliberate the current challenges and opportunities that exist in India for energy storage integration.
Considering the rising growth of infirm renewables, I personally feel that yes, development of energy storage systems have a market, have a possibility in the state of Maharashtra. I feel it is very important initially to develop ancillary markets also. In fact, CERC has already issued the draft paper on that. In fact, during such conferences, through such conferences, what I want an output of such conferences to come out is, give us some guidelines to all policymakers in the country. I would look forward for a guideline from this conference to all policymakers in the country, how we can move towards ancillary market, how we can move towards energy storage.
India is ranked 5th in the world as far as the installed capacity is concerned. But the problem is serious for India because our per capita consumption is not even 10% of some of the high consumption countries. Even China is 2,600 and our consumption is 500. So you can see that not only 24/7, but any country aspiring to be a superpower or in the Great League, most important thing is the consumption of electricity. This is one of the most important sector, and in next decade, this will decide the future of the industry, future of the country's economy.
The role of storage has changed over the years, and so has the role of the regulators in advancing storage. A case in point, in 1991, we funded a project for compressed energy storage, bulk storage. Now at that time, the expectation was just like pump storage, it was very limited role in the sense maybe black start, maybe some ancillary services, and maybe some kind of, balancing the load. However, over the years, technologies developed for storage and so did the need. So fast forward a few more years and then we found out that maybe our problem was the peak power. Most of the load in California is run by air conditioning. So maybe we can use the storage for off-peak power and then, flatten our load. So that was the second role anticipated for energy storage. By that time, some technologies had developed other technologies. Fast forward some more, and we found that the renewables, which are supposed to be solving all the problems, were creating their own problems. So, on wind side, as well as photovoltaic side, and solar side. So again, a third role assigned to storage, can it possibly mitigate that? Now again, when you say what level, because we have problem with energy, renewable energy at transmission level. As the loads are changing substantially, if you fast forward, if you saw a slide from my colleague, Ms. Jacqueline De Rosa earlier, maybe yesterday or maybe earlier today, there's a lot more variation in our loads in 2020. And the standard load curve which we see at transmission level, at the system level in California, which is called California Integrated System Operator, that's changing substantially. So that's again recalibrating the role storage can play. Now, as these things happen over the years, we also realize that the players we have to deal with are totally different. In California, at federal level, we got Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, which controls the transmission level. So any problem storage can solve at that level, we have to deal with FERC. Two, at the distribution level, is California Public Utilities Commission, which controls the utilities tariff and the rate. And so that's the second example. Also, as and more recent in last 6 to 7 years, as more electric cars are coming online, and 25% of all the electric cars sold in US and California, now that is creating some problem in some feeders. If you look at the average size of a battery for Nissan or Tesla, anywhere from 16 kilowatt hour to about 85 or even 85 kilowatt hour. Surprisingly, most of the Teslas have been sold on the rich enclaves in Silicon Valley, which is a kind of old distribution system. So all of a sudden, in a block, you'll find 10 or 15 or 20 Teslas parked there, charging at night time. So that's another angle for the storage. So what do we do? So that's, as I'm saying, that technologies were changing, regulators were changing, and so was the technologies. So from flywheels to capacitors to batteries, flow batteries. So now we are facing a situation, there are multiple technologies of storage, multiple regulatory authorities which can impinge or help with their development and eventual commercialization. So we have to basically calibrate to who are the right regulatory parties who should be participating in that. We also look at energy storage for a role in demand-side management or reducing demand charges. So again, that point is a regulatory side is California Public Utility Commission. So the bottom line is that technologies are evolving, so are the kind of regulators who have to deal with and kind of rules they have to change. And often, either it's a chicken or like as you said earlier, sometimes the technology precedes, technology is kind of existing and then you have to devise the policy. Sometimes the policy which pushes the technology. And we have found that both ways. In the case of storage, the technology has been leading and the policies are lacking.
Presented by Renault. Drive the change.
It's active. It's an instrument to hedge your risk, and it's all about the action. Welcome to the world of derivatives. Analyze all the trends, all the happenings of the last week gone by in the world of derivatives, and get a sense as to what the strategy is going forward for next week.
World of Derivatives, presented by IESA, Investors Protection Fund.
What more can the industry ask? Even the government has to give a thrust to export, and they can tell you that this is the opportunity for you to export to their countries or their part of the world.
I think this show would definitely be a world-class show, as it's going to be on a global theme.
Organizations and seminars, exhibitions like this definitely promote brand Made in India label, and I'm sure that it will do a very small step in promoting manufacturing in this sector.
This is the new age algorithmic high-frequency trading-driven strategy.
A manufacturer, even a roll of down without a
story that we are breaking for you right now here. Finance Ministry is not going to levy any extra tax. Coal India is unable to assure maximum fuel supply. Welcome to the big story. I'm Vivek Law.
Competing with the best, a clutch of Indian companies have proven that the world is indeed their stage. This season, Inside India's best-known companies takes you on a journey to discover how some of the brightest in India are charting an exciting new journey across the world and driving game-changing innovation from the front. We take you inside India's most global and innovative companies. This season on Inside India's Best Known Companies.
Presented by Accenture. High performance delivered.
At the recently held Energy Storage India ESI Conference and Exhibition 2013 in Mumbai, the panel discussion on smart cities and townships in India discussed the need for integrated resource planning along with the use of smart technologies to develop world-class infrastructure for the future cities of India.
300 million people will go towards urban India. Urbanization is an unstoppable phenomenon. Do we expect, and my guess is no, that these 300 million are the ones who will end up in GIFT or Lavasa?
Well, it's certainly our goal that they will end up in Lavasa or in a Lavasa-like place. The Lavasa project wasn't intended to be a one-off project. It was intended to be a prototype, a model that hopefully can be replicated 100 times over.
Well,
and so, I mean, one project by itself isn't going to make that much difference on such a demographic
no, but the question
tsunami.
wasn't just relating to the quantum, but also the business models and price points.
Right.
So price points is unfortunately one of the challenges. Even our existing cities, who provides the services, who pays for them?
For it to be a city, it has to be a diverse city. It has to be a place where people of all economic levels can live and work there, and that's not an easy thing to do. It's not just a matter of, as we have, of providing for the low income as well as the middle class and the upper income. It's also providing jobs for them. And anybody who's built new cities anywhere, anytime, that's a key factor. But we think we have more influence over those actions and those policies because we're a partner with those operating companies rather than just serving as a real estate developer. So a more complex analysis of the economics I didn't offer, but I think that I did, within the time constraints, talk a little bit about how the economic model, the business strategy for Lavasa, where we're involved not just in building it, but also in operating it and in being a partner with the private business enterprises that provide services. That's what provides the long-term financial sustainability. Now, it decentralizes a lot of the other, particularly the technology decisions, to those companies rather than centralizing it, but I think that's a part of the model, too.
Mr. Halfus, would you be in a position to share any numbers or economics or those sorts of things, even high level?
Mm-hmm. So within 10 years, I'd like to make grid parity of our systems.
Same as the alternative?
Yes. So factory, so the price of electricity in Japan has been increased 20% from a big disaster 2 years ago. So the price will be increasing. And our product, as house electric products, should be decreasing power consumption, okay? So, power consumption decreasing and the price of electricity is increasing. So, parity will be within 10 years.
Okay.
We'd like to make.
That's the target?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Gaur, so we've seen a lot on GIFT that it's heavily geared towards commercial activity. From a city perspective, living, how self-contained or self-sufficient is the expectation? Will all the workers of GIFT be living in that area? At every level, not just the SEZ employee, but overall. As I mentioned that this will be a CBD, so we are have planned of almost 25,000 dwelling units only. So almost 75,000, 200,000 people will be living in that area. And it's not just only upper class of this thing is. There is a provision of almost 25 to 30,000 people in affordable and support staff categories in fact. But along our development from commercial development, from social infrastructure development, from residential, we have also started the development of affordable housings to have that support staff availabilities in that thing is. So there will be availabilities of almost 100,000 people living in that area. But more importantly, this being a CBD, Central Business Districts, is the government in the surrounding area are developing. In Gujarat, we have a unique scheme called TP scheme. Through that, supporting the CBDs for residentials and other social infrastructures to match the development is. Next is answering your first question, which you talk about the economics is. I think there is a misconception among the people about that when you talk about the smart, when you talk about these technologies, you increase your cost drastically and this and that is. It is not that the cost increased that drastically. If you see in the life cycle approach point of view, first of all, it's much less than overall. Second thing is, smartnet is not just bringing few gadgets and this thing is. Smartnet is how you are designing your entire system, infrastructures, and then controlling and managing that through technology will make it efficient.
like in our entire streets are now LED bases. So our power consumption is much less than normal any of the streets you go in any part of the other cities. So that makes more efficient, and then you control through sensors and timers and this thing is to optimize further your power consumptions. First of your power demand is reduced, and then the usage is being optimized throughout the time.
To what extent is it planned to have a coordinated, optimized solution, which you would ideally like to do at a city level, compared to pricing signals just being given? Consumers are now told, hey, do you want to buy into an EMS? Do you want to do energy demand response or storage? So for example, at an individual level, you could buy the smart power solution that Panasonic or others produce and leave it to yourself. Or do you see the future becoming much more coordinated compared to purely bottom-up from thousands or millions of end users? Rahul, any thoughts on the trends and the pluses and minuses?
Sure. And also, in a way, this question ties to the question about economics, because what happens is when people are worried about that, all these smart systems or the new energy storage or other solutions are going to increase the cost. What they are thinking about is just adding one more piece of equipment which is at a cost almost similar to the existing source. So where I think optimization comes is if you start taking a view of an integrated system, what is the total cost? Right now what happens is there is sometimes a disconnect where some costs are being borne by the real estate developers and some costs are being borne by the actual occupants. But once you start having this integrated approach, there may be the upfront cost may be slightly more, but there could be solutions where ultimate cost for the users could be relatively low. So one aspect is, for example, instead of having every individual household having maybe a 2 kVA or 3 kVA inverter, why don't we have something like as a community inverter, as a community energy storage system? Because if you see now most of these cities with maybe 20, 30-story buildings with 100, 150 occupants in each building, lots of time maybe 1/3 of the apartments are empty or they are basically investment properties where maybe as part of the planning the inverter is being put in but it is not being used. There is also diversity between the load between each household. So once you start looking at a system level approach, you are not basically just adding the cost as a summation of it. There are natural economies of scale which are possible, plus because of the diversity you can overall optimize the system. And then you take a next step in terms of looking at, okay, what are the investment which the developers are making in terms of the distribution system, in terms of the transformer, substation infrastructure, maybe the backup or diesel generation at the city level. And then you start saying that, okay, how you can bring those economies of scale to the consumers.
Energy storage is so important because we will, in Germany at least, or in also many other countries, we will increase the share of renewable energies. A lot of this is coming from wind and solar, and both are fluctuating electricity sources. We have to also make sure that in the future, that also when the sun is not shining or the wind is not blowing, that the supply of electricity always will meet the demand. And for this we need storage, so we need to store energy when the sun is shining a lot or when the wind is blowing a lot, for times where we don't have sunshine, we don't have electricity. So this is why storage is so crucial for new renewable energy infrastructure all over the globe.
Renewable energy, I guess, is let's say the next destination, at least. Just because now many countries has already installed some infrastructure that can be, let's say, useful for storage, the energy itself. Just because, let's say, we are sensible, we can all sensible about the environment condition worldwide, and because the petrol costs almost more than before, let's say energy storage is a unit, a package where to, let's say, to store energy and use whatever is more convenient. So it's a must, I guess.
India is a case you have 400 million people off grid, no stable power, and their energy storage can play the key in getting those people onto mini grids together with a solar panel, with the wind, and electrify rural areas. So it's just an amazing technology that can change the world.